Now, if there was ever a place that I could describe as a time capsule, absolutely frozen in time, then this, out of all the buildings I have explored, this is definitely the one. Fletcher's paper mill, hidden away in the Saddleworth landscape at Greenfield, stood one of the last survivors of the Industrial Revolution. The site began as a woolen mill in the late 18th century, and by 1921 Robert Fletcher and Sons had taken over the mill to specialise in cigarette papers and fine tissue paper. For generations, this business provided employment for local people, but by the 1990s, the business was struggling with the rising costs of raw materials and energy costs. Now, while attempts were made to save the business, including closing the Stoneclough mill, unfortunately, this wasn't enough to save it. In July 2001, the end came remarkably quickly. The workers were sent home on the Friday, believing that they would return to work on the following Monday after things had been sorted out. Unfortunately, this wasn't the case, and the place was closed immediately, leaving behind many personal items and a place literally frozen in time. Machinery, offices, newspapers still open, food bowls still out. Very strange to see. Demolition began in the 2020s after years of vandalism, metal theft and fire, and unfortunately most of the site has now disappeared, with only a few buildings being saved. Fortunately for me and for you, I was able to explore and photograph Fletcher's mill while it was still largely intact, and these are the photographs from my visit there. Now, although I had to try and whittle down from probably hundreds and hundreds of pictures of this place, it was so photogenic. Industrial sites tend to have a lot to photograph, a lot of different angles, the machinery, the light, the plants growing out of these machines. It's so photogenic. Now, I did probably go 3 times. Now, the first time I heard about it, I was doing photography, but not like abandoned buildings. I'd been doing landscape stuff, portraiture, things like that. And a local lad who I was following had put some pictures up. Wow, it really sparked my interest. And this was before I'd got into photographing abandoned buildings. And he'd done it in such a way. Back then it was all high definition editing, so he'd done it in a HDI, give it its right gritty feel. So I messaged him and like, wow, where's this place? And he's like, told me, he sent me like, this is going back 15 years, so he sent me a picture of a bird's eye view of the place and said, if you ever want to go in, just drive over, climb on a roof and up and in. So I sat on it, it never left back in my mind. So when we did get into exploring, which was shortly after, funnily enough, one day we were looking for locations. We did as pre-planning beforehand through the week, and we always had a backup. So, right, we'll try and hit this spot, see if we can get in, see if we can take some photographs. If not, on the way back, there's this spot, and then failing that, there's this spot, failing that. We go home empty-handed, go to the pub and have a pint. So still had his map, so we figured we had a decent idea of where we were going. So bearing in mind, this is probably 6, 7, 8 months later after he'd been. And we rocked up, managed to avoid the security office at the front where the main driveway was, all the way around the back to the fields, and straight up to this point where he says you can get in. Now, as you can see on this photograph, security had other ideas. Now, we didn't know that people were going there all the time, but obviously security did, and they'd put up this wall of crates, pallets, and just daubed it in vandal grease, wrapped barbed wire around it. And like for us, that was the only way in. We were new to exploring, so we didn't try and explore any other way. We'd heard that security did patrols around the area, and we're like, oh man, we can't get in now. And you wouldn't have gone up this tower of grease anyway. Not for anything, it were a right drop below that. What we didn't know, what we found out on the second and third attempt, was the way in was right behind my mate Shane here. I'll circle that area for you there. But anyway, we hands up, yeah, we can't get in. We've done this a few times now. When you can't get in, you can't get in. So we had a walk around the site, found this tool shed, which is kind of in the middle of the site. One of the lads tried its windows open, so we'd popped us, jumped in there, and it's just a big tool shed. Obviously, an industrial site of this scale has to have spare parts. It has to have a guy who can repair these machines. A lot of things. So it was absolutely rammed with this tool shed. Quite a long structure, and we take some photographs in there, and we're a bit bored, so popped his head out to jump back out just as the security guards walking past. There might have been two of them actually. I'm sure they were talking in Polish or something, Eastern European, and they just, as we'd opened the window, they'd just gone past us, and we just closed the window again as they walked past. So they'd not seen us. They just, 2 seconds earlier, sorry, I've got a dog at my feet. 2 seconds earlier, they would have seen us. Anyhow, they walked past. So we're trapped in this building now, so we're stuck, waiting for them to disappear, waiting for voices to go. They're very keen on this site, but yeah, they're good at what they do. And I've heard multiple stories of explorers when they did eventually get in. Security had like spy holes throughout the factories, throughout the buildings, so they could look in, and then they'd bray on doors. We know you're in there. We know you're in there. So they were keen, and they did the due diligence. They did the walks about, and they were on it. So in this case, we got out of the tool shed, took a few photographs outside, trying to avoid the patrol, and went home empty-handed. Unfortunate. Looked a nice place, and I didn't really think we'd go back. Like, we'd driven the way out, and I was a bit disappointed really. I'd seen some nice photographs at the place, and I didn't think we'd ever go back. Anyhow, maybe 6 months later, I think we decided to try it again. Now, we took another lad with us, and he figured out, when we went there, obviously the structure was still there and what have you, and the circled area, which I showed you earlier, although there was a drop down there, he figured out if you just leant over, grabbed hold of this cut off bit of RSJ that were bolted to the side of the building, you could just lean over this crevice and literally grab, step over onto the roof, up the roof, across the apex, and down where you were supposed to go to get in. Voila, we did it. We were in. So that was nice, working that out and getting in the place. So the whole place opened up to us then, and like, the place is gorgeous. If you like abandonment, if you like old industry, if you like old machinery, if you like nature coming up, taking over, it was just gorgeous. And I think I went a couple of times, and I tried to cover every square inch of the place. Now, when I say I've got hundreds and hundreds of pictures, I had to try and whittle this down to 150 pictures. That's too many to show you, and I've tried whittling it down even more, but some pictures I wanted to show you that I can't, because I had to really be clinical in end. I could decorate my walls with prints of this place because it was just that beautiful. I've got a print up here, which is just an A4 print. which I will be giving away with one of my books, which I'm now retailing. They're on the website at abandonedyorkshire.com, and the first 10 people to purchase a book, I've sold a load this week already, but exclusive to the YouTube channel, the first 10 people to purchase a book will get a A4 print printed on Hannah Mule paper, and these are all random ones that I've printed off, all from different sites. There's one from Nestle, and I'll be giving one of them away with the first 10 books. So just drop me a message on abandonedyorkshire.com and you will get a free print on Hannah Mule paper. So yeah, I did quite an extensive photographic journal of this place, and like I say, there's so many good pictures. Some of the strange things I did see, after a couple of visits, we went down into the basement and we noticed a really loud hissing sound. It wasn't hissing, it was a really loud, and as we got closer, there's puddles of water sort of lapping at his feet. And goes into darkness, into like boiler rooms, sort of service tunnels, what have you. And there's a leak, like it's a big pipe, and there's just water absolutely cascading out of it. And that must have been doing. We went again about a year later, and the water was still cascading out. Now this is quite concerning, really. Where's that water going and who's paying for it? So we did actually, this conscience got to us. I think it's just a morally good thing to do, but we did phone the local water board for that area and told them about the leak. Like, listen, we've been in abandoned buildings, an abandoned site at Greenfield, Saddleworth area, and there's a particularly big leak, and this has been going on for a lot of time. They weren't particularly bothered. It's down to landowner. As long as the bill keeps getting paid, they weren't concerned. So fair enough. What more could we do? Honestly, there must have been millions of gallons of water just pumped out of that leaking pipe. But we did what we could. Yeah, the place is stunning. Like the paper reels still hanging off the machinery, like it had been loaded on that morning or that day. The papers were still open, there were still coats hung up, there were still dinner plates out, magazines open, and it was like everyone had been doing the work. Maybe they'd gone for the dinner, maybe it was the last break of the day. They were hoping it were going to get resolved. Maybe management has said, listen, don't worry, it's, something will get sorted. They've been told to go home. Don't worry, we'll sort this out over the weekend. We'll see you on Monday. And Monday never came. And the sad thing is that a lot of personal belongings were left behind. And the place was an absolute treasure trove of a 90s mill. The papers, the calendars, with 2001, the last calendars we saw, and the papers as well. So 25 years ago, everything was, different. The newspaper headlines, looking back on what the papers are reporting about back then. We don't even have papers now. You get your media off YouTube or your phone, or if you're that inclined to watch telly. So very strange to see. So it was interesting to see different sections of the mill. Obviously the chemical treatment of the paper, great big round mixing vats, machinery where the paper reams went on, and the way they did things in the 90s, things are completely different. You can see like topless women, the women of the era. This one guy were obsessed with Kate Moss and had pictures of Kate Moss all over. Over Canteen had topless page 3 models on the wall. Quite different back then to how PC things are now, and you can just see it. It's just frozen like that. There's all signs everywhere on wall, whereas probably now you'd get it on an app, you'd get all your training done online, but the signs everywhere, warning signs, wear your protective gear, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. Just hundreds and hundreds of signs in every department to make sure the place was, you know, conforming with health and safety, and it was running correctly. You can see what a massive operation this place would have been, and it's so sad to see a lost industry such as this one. And it was like a museum. The place was like a museum, and I'm so glad I got to see it and got so many pictures of it. In fact, when I do my exhibitions, a lot of the pictures from this place are some of the, you know, the most popular and the ones that garner the biggest conversations, because they're so, like the white of the pulp in certain areas of the factory. You can tell what they did in that part of the factory. You can tell what they did in another part of the factory. Just by the colours and the colour schemes and stuff. It's really odd. They're obviously upstairs with some, like a chemistry lab, and they were probably testing the alkalinity, is that a word? Alkalinity of the paper, possibly. I don't know much about paper manufacture, but I imagine that's what a lot of it was. But yeah, fascinating. I absolutely love the place. I'm so lucky I got to see it. I'm so lucky that I've got hundreds and hundreds of pictures from the place. So enjoy the video. Don't forget to grab your book while I've still got some left. Like I say, the first 10 will get a free print. In fact, the first person to order will get the print from Fletcher's. The rest will be random prints from random explores that I've done, but they will be coming up on future videos. So thanks again, guys, really appreciate it. Hit the like button if you like what I do, hit subscribe, and I will see you next week for another story behind the shots. See you later.